Okay, so let's go over how the invulnerable period works. So right now the player's already spawning, but he can die right away again. So we want to control it so that the player isn't allowed to get killed right away. So all we're going to do is we're going to add an invulnerable time onto the player class, and then inside the constructor, we're going to initialize this to be 3. And then every frame inside update, in addition to subtracting the fire cooldown, we're going to subtract from invulnerable time. And during this, as long as this thing is greater than 0, I want to ignore all collisions. So in this case here, not only do I want to compare collided with an asteroid, I want to see if invulnerable time is greater than 0. And that's the only time that I allow myself to get killed. So for 3 seconds now, I'm not allowed, I ignore all collisions with asteroids. So I'm going to take 2 seconds to spawn. I'm going to spawn in. Oops, I didn't actually do this right. It's going to be less than 0. Flip that around. If invulnerable time is less than 0, that's the only time I'm allowed to actually hit things. So I'm going to spawn in, run into an asteroid, no collisions, and then after 3 seconds I die. That's cool and all. The next thing I want to do, though, is I want to prevent you from being able to shoot. It's pretty straightforward. Here we have this if statement that says, hey, are you firing right now? That's based on whether you have a key pressed or not. And so we're also expecting you to be on firing cooldown. So right here, I am going to require you to also be less than 0 for your invulnerable time, which will make it so that I can't shoot anymore even after I spawn. So I'm gonna spawn right away again, and I can't shoot until invulnerable time is over, and then I can shoot. And it's a little hard to tell that I'm invulnerable, so there's a few ways we can do this, and kind of for Vince's sake, did you get the circle thing working? We can draw a shield, which I'll show you how to do that first, and then we can make the player blink. So if I want to, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to take this draw function, which is virtual in the game object, which means I can create my own version of it inside the player. I can take this guy and implement my own inside here, inside the CPP. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a circle when I have a shield out. So first things first, though, I want to definitely be drawing the player. If I don't do this draw call, if I don't do game object draw and pass in the window, the player is actually not going to draw anymore. Like if I just do this and comment it out, and I overwrite this draw function, it's just like how the apply drag function works, where I'm actually in the game, I'm just not drawing anything anymore. So I'm actually moving. Can you guys see where my ship is? My player ship is not drawing, and that's because I'm not calling draw on the base game object. So that's the first thing you want to do whenever you're overriding a function, is be able to call the base version, because that's what's going to be responsible for drawing you. So now my player ship is there. Cool. Then what I want to do is, if my invulnerable time is greater than 0, that means that I'm currently still invulnerable. So I can create a circle shape, and I can set the radius here to be 50, and I can set the origin here to be 50, and I can do things like set the color. I'm going to set the fill color to be transparent. I'm just going to have an outline on this thing. I set an outline radius, get outline thickness to be 10. And then I'm going to do set outline color equal SF color blue. And then I'm going to make sure to set the position of the shape equal to the position of the ship dot x and the position of the ship dot y. And then I'm going to draw this shape. There's a lot of stuff in here, but the ultimate thing is I'm just drawing a circle, and I'm positioning it where the player ship is. Okay? And I'm filling it out. So now when I spawn in, as long as I'm invulnerable, I get a blue outlined circle around my player. And this thing will go away as soon as my invulnerability is off. We can do a couple things, though, too. It'd be cool if the outline thickness went thinner the less time I had remaining, right? So what I can do is I can actually scale this by how much time is remaining. So if I divide this by 3, it's going to start out thick, and then it's going to go down to 0 based on how much time I have left. So when I spawn in now, you're going to see a really thick invulnerable shield. It's going to gradually get smaller and smaller and smaller until it eventually goes away. We can even change the color of it too. So if I want to make it also more transparent, I can add 1 to this. I can set the, I'm just showing you guys options here because these are kind of like neat little things you can do. I can set the alpha equal to 255 times invulnerable time divided by 3, which means also it'll scale the color by how much time I have remaining. This expression here says starts out at 1 and it goes gradually down to 0, which means not only will my outline get thinner, but it'll also fade out. Okay, that's cool. I can have an outline, but what I really want to do is I also want to blink the ship, right? I want the ship to blink on and off as I have invulnerable time left. So when I talked about this before, the key is that a sine curve has a nice attribute to it where any number you pass to it will give you back a number that falls between -1 and 1, which means we can take this value and take this concept here, and if we pass in time here and then take this number and map it from 0 to 1 instead of -1 to 1, then we can get a nice result for our blinking. So if I take the sine of invulnerable time, right, this one here, and I just do a print standard cout, I'm going to include the header up top here. So what I'm going to do is I'm printing out to the console what the value of sine is when I'm spawning. So watch this over here. So see how it goes from 0 to 1 to negative? You guys see how like 0.8 and then start at 0 and it's kind of still going. So because the value of sine goes from -1 to 1, I can take the sine value. If I add 1 to it, it's going to take this image, it's going to move the whole curve up to be between 0 and 2. Right? I don't know if there's a calc in here. Oh, is this a graphing calculator? Unfortunately not. So I'm going to take this number, and this is now going to be between 0 and 2. This is going to be between -1 and 1. If I add 1 to it, now it's between 0 and 2. If I then multiply it by 0.5, now I've effectively mapped this between 0 and 1. Okay? I've taken this curve, I've moved it up, and I've made sure it goes up and down like this. So take this guy. And we're drawing a brand new curve here, blue. And now the curve goes like this. Okay? Or maybe more like that. We've effectively kind of flattened it and then lifted it up, okay? Now, if I run this again, you're going to see that the value of sine now doesn't go negative anymore. It'll go between 0 and 1. Goes to 9, goes down, goes to 0, and then that's it. And every time I die and respawn, it does the same thing. So you guys can see here, it went almost to 0, right? Nearly 0, and then went back. I can take this value here as well. And if I take this invulnerable time and I just multiply it by 50, that'll make my sine wave a lot faster, right? It'll make my values go up and down a lot quicker. Can you guys see how my values are going up and down? They're still going all the way up to 1 and then down to 0 again. They're just doing it a lot quicker. The frequency of my sine wave has been increased. So if I take this like to 25, now it's 25 times faster. I can use this knowledge here now. It's a number between 0 and 1, so if I had an alpha value, I just set it equal to sine value, which is between 0 and 1, and multiply by 255, now I get an alpha that will be between 0 and 255. And it'll go up and down. So I can take this, I can make a color out of it. I can start off at white. I'm going to make it white by default. And I can just take the ship color alpha instead of equal to the alpha I calculated here. Take the sprite, I have a sprite, set the color of it to be the ship color. And now what you're going to see is you're going to see a ship whose alpha changes based on the sign value here. You guys see my ship is blinking? Cool. That ship is blinking all the time, which means I only want to do this if invol time is greater than 0. And if I want this thing to blink slower or faster, I just have to control this guy here. That number scales how fast my ship blinks. And now my ship stops blinking. And it's actually kind of gray right now, which means the last thing I want to do is, if it's not this case, I'm going to set this guy back to white in the else case. This means I'm no longer invulnerable. Make sure the ship color is white. I went over that pretty fast, but ran out of time, so you guys can review the video to see this. But you can use the same concept for all kinds of things. In games, you ever see something like blinking or flashing or like smoothly going somewhere, like has a wave pattern? You guys ever see like the wave gun from R-Type? This is a really old reference. R-Type? Oh my god.
You don't know?
That's a great game.
Do
Do you like shoot 'em ups?
Shmup.
No, I'm more like, I like hack and slash.
So it's an older style game. It's more arcadey. What is this? Oh, what is this anime?
This is Crunchyroll ad. This is 90.
Yeah, it's mob, whatever the mob anime. Yeah. Okay. All right. Watch it if you
What was
can.
it called?
So this is R-Type. And did you ever see the pattern that enemies have? See how these guys are moving up and down? These ships are moving up and down. Guess what? That's the sine wave describing the pattern, right? Up and down. See how many of these things go up and down? Yeah, that's sine. You can control how big up and down it is, right? It doesn't have to go between 0 and 1. It can go between 0 and 1,000. Those numbers. So the best part about this game is what the zero on the bottom. You can charge up your shot. So you have like a big shot, they charge up version of the shot. See how you charge up your shot? There was like another version of this. No more commercial. Okay, you guys get it though. All right, let's go over the homework real fast, and then I'll let you guys go. All right, so because next week we may or may not have class, I kind of gave you guys a little bit bigger homework assignment. It doesn't look that much bigger, but it is. First thing is, I want you guys to add a score display to the game. Okay? You're going to draw a score to the screen based on this scoring table. You get 100 points for a large one, 50 for a medium, and 20 for a small one. Okay? Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay, pretty simple, right? Then finally, I want you guys to add the concept of multiple levels. So when all the asteroids are blown up, I want you to spawn more, and I want you to increase the number of asteroids you spawn based on the level that you're at. So on level 1, you get 5 asteroids. On level 5, you get 9 asteroids that you have to blow up. All right? That's it. So I'm going to collect this homework in 2 weeks. So, because even if I have a sub, I'm not going to have the sub collect the homework. So you guys have 2 weeks to do it. And I'm going to give a sub, if he's here, I'm going to give them a lesson plan. Otherwise, this is basically due in 2 weeks. Okay? So take that with you, and I'll see you guys